Wonderful Grace Fogarty of Grace Fogarty Training. I know she is going to share some tips with you on like how she's managed to grow her business. So thank you so much for joining me, Grace.
Thank you for having me. It is a real pleasure.
Oh, I'm going to jump straight in, like with two
Yeah,
feet. Okay,
let's do it.
let's go.
Let's, yeah,
Okay,
let's
so
go.
tell me, why did you leave the life of the regular paycheck behind and decide, no, I'm going to start my own business?
Okay, that is a great question. Sometimes I wonder that myself, but I have to always remember the why. So I was up until the end of last year, I had been working full time in a consultancy, and I got to a point where I was kind of reflecting on what kind of work I absolutely love to do, and also what's really important to me outside of the work that I was doing. And I think when it comes to work, I've always absolutely loved doing anything around developing people's skills, developing their confidence, like really just helping people to kind of be the best versions of themselves, whether that's in work, out of work. That is one thing I've always been really passionate about, particularly in a kind of training context. So I knew that about work, and outside of work, I really loved theatre and performing. At the time, I was developing a one-woman show and thinking about how I could give myself more time to invest in the kind of creative side of what I love doing. And after thinking, kind of mulling on all of those things for a few months, I decided actually, I think starting my own business, really giving myself the flexibility to do the kind of work that I love, but also to structure my time so I can do more around writing, performing, developing my creative skills just felt like the right thing to do. So I took the leap of faith at the beginning of this year.
Oh, congratulations. I'm so thrilled for you. So you went, okay, toodaloo, office work. I'm going to start my own organization, my own company. How did you decide on what you were going to do?
So it was a journey, that's for sure. I think when I first started, I thought I'm just going to be a soft skill trainer. And I didn't really know, I didn't have any skill that I wanted to focus on. I wasn't really sure how to. I kind of started by, on my website, I just described myself as a trainer and listed about 10 different skills I could train people on and went with a bit of a, I'll do anything you want me to do, please hire me, anyone approach. And very quickly realized that just doesn't work because I left the door far too wide open, and it meant that it was just really hard for me to explain what I did to people. And then I was very quickly realizing that if I couldn't say what I did and how I could help people, people weren't able to work with me because they just didn't know how I could help them. So yeah, it started very, very, very broad. And over the last like 6, 7 months, I've really honed it down. To focus on one thing, which is presentation skills.
Yeah, yeah. And you've got such talent there. So it makes sense. People can find you so much more easily. And
Yeah.
what kind of people do you want to find you? So do you have a dream client that maybe you're working with now or that you want to attract in the future?
Yeah, so I think when I think about the types of client I love working with or who I've worked with in the past, for me it always comes down to the nature of their work and some of their values. So I really love organizations that if they're doing work around something to do with social impact. So at the moment I'm working with a council, which is really, really exciting because I love knowing that the people I'm working with are helping, the kind of people in their local community. So that social impact element of a company is brilliant. Or I love an organization that really have creativity embedded in everything that they do. And that's something that they really look for because my approach is always using creativity. And I think companies that have that as part of the work that they do, to me, it feels like there's a really nice alignment in our values. And yeah, I don't have a specific industry, but those types of kind of sense of ways of working to me are really important.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, why do you enjoy working with them? But Yeah, I think you've pretty much answered that question. But like when you're like in front of them, like why? What is it that you love work? Like why
Mm.
do you love working in that particular area?
I really love when I'm in a room full of people who are really curious and they want to try things out. They're not afraid to step outside of their comfort zone, perhaps do something that's a little bit different to their day-to-day job in order to help them learn. And I also really like people that are in a kind of people-focused type business because I find it very rewarding when I can see them reflecting on how what they've learned in the training room can be really used to help their clients or their customers in a positive way. So it's kind of that the empathy, the curiosity, the sense of playfulness that I find most rewarding and exciting to work with.
Oh God, it sounds I want to do one of your trainings. It sounds amazing. It really does. Um, like so you said you were on a journey and that like you had an array of soft skills. So and that you know people weren't coming towards you. How did you decide, okay, actually this is the kind of client that I want to work with? Like what informed that decision?
So I guess, well, we had some really helpful conversations that enabled me to really reflect on, okay, what is it that I do best? What do I love doing? And that's how I kind of landed on presentation skills because it's something I've done a lot of in the past. I've got a huge amount of experience from a training context. I feel really comfortable in kind of calling myself a presentation skills trainer, but also because I have a background in theatre, performance, stand-up comedy, there's a really nice interlink between the creative side of what I do and my work. So being able to talk about those two things in order to help people with presentation skills made a lot of sense. And then in terms of what types of clients, I often work with teams who are perhaps they're early on in their careers. So maybe they're in the first 5 years of their career. They need to really have they really need to build their confidence and really learn how to be able to present themselves, not just in a kind of formal presentation, but even just having the confidence to put their hand up in a meeting and share an idea and to really believe in themselves. And those, that level of experience is often what clients come to me asking for. So I feel, it just feels like, combination of my experience and then being able to help those people at that kind of sweet spot of their career with really building their confidence to present in a more engaging way. Again, it felt like a really logical route to take.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And I can just see, just even the way you're talking there, I can just see people, even watching this going, oh yes, that's what we need. It's much clearer. It's really clear. And what's funny is you're talking about it so naturally now. And I wanted to ask you like what results your clients get. So what I actually want to ask you in this question though is because it strikes me in how you've been describing what you do that you have kind of two clients almost, right? You've got the one who hires you, and then the room full of people aren't necessarily the people that hire you. So you've spoken about the results that people who stand in front of you get. So tell me just talk to me a bit about results. How have you, how do you measure that? What do you speak to on that? Just talk to me about results that either the people who are in front of you get, but also the buyers get when they hire you to help their people.
Yeah, that's a really nice question. So I think the people in the room who attend the training, because of the style of training that I use, I always make sure my workshops are really memorable. They're really engaging. And most of all, people leave with really practical tools. So people often leave a workshop that I've run feeling energized, or they're really motivated to put what they've learned into practice straight away. They want to tell their colleagues about it, and they're just kind of ready and able to very quickly put those learnings into practice as soon as the training's finished. So when I talk to the buyers, so I tend to work a lot with HR managers, learning and development managers. The things we always talk about are what difference it makes when you invest in training that really helps people to change their behavior straight away. So by helping people with practical tools, it means that someone can invest in a training workshop with me and see an immediate difference in confidence in their team, or the feedback they might be getting from leadership teams on how someone presented in a client meeting, or the number of suggestions they're getting in meetings when they ask their team for ideas. So it's better engagement, it's better ability to be confident, be trusted in presenting to clients or presenting the business. And it's also, I think also having training that really energizes people has a really tangible benefit on the atmosphere it creates in the office. You know, people come out of the workshop and they're saying, oh my gosh, like I just pretended to be Beyonce. It was so much fun. You know, people are talking about it. There's a buzz in the office. They still talk about it, you know, weeks on after it's happened. And so I think, you know, that's another thing I often talk to my buyers about is, how is this training going to impact the culture in your office? You know, it's almost like a kind of indirect benefit of the training is that it has that impact on the atmosphere, the culture, as well as the ability of the team who attend it.
Right. Honestly, I want to sign up, but anyway, but I can't.
You're very welcome.
I'm a solopreneur. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. That's really interesting, you know, and I think that quite often when it comes to marketing your business, that can be something that people struggle with, is that they know what like coaches or trainers or anyone who works directly with people, but somebody else buys the service. Like it can be a real struggle, can't it, to just try and communicate that, you know? Like, is there a common issue that crops up at all when you know, with either we call them audiences, with either like the buyers or the people that work with you? Is there something that sometimes crops up?
Yeah, so I think so for buyers, it can be perhaps a fear that, you know, I use a really creative, very kind of interactive approach. And sometimes I get some nervousness or some hesitation from an HR manager, say, about like, well, you know, I know my team and some of them, this is just not going to land with. They're going to say to me, creativity, what is the point? I don't get it. You know, I'm a data analyst. I don't need that. You know, this is not for me. And I get it. Like, I get why that feels like a concern. But I think what I've seen time and time again is that for training to be really, really effective, it has got to be memorable. It has to feel different to what you do day to day. And often that involves doing something practical. You might be moving around the room. Maybe there's a piece of music that sparks an idea, or you're doing something and it's fun and it feels different. And it's when you create an experience like that that it really makes the training stick in people's minds. And if it sticks in their mind, that is how they're going to make a change to how they behave. So I think creativity in my mind is an absolutely essential part of any training if you want that training to have an effective impact on your team and what they're able to do. And in terms of the audience, like, again, you know, I've made the mistake of saying, we're going to have loads of fun today. And I've met with just like a room full of eye rolls and sighs. And I think, oh my God, they absolutely hate me. Oh God. But, you know, sometimes saying the word fun is like a massive turn off for people, which I also completely understand. So I think, you know, rather than focusing on telling people or thinking this has to be fun, it's more about, I try to think about, like, you know, how can I make this exercise feel a bit playful? How can we make it a bit tactile? Is there something I could do with an image? Can I get people cutting up pieces of paper, sticking things? Or, you know, is it going to be a competition? Like, there are lots of different ways that I can make something fun, that as soon as people get into it, they can't help themselves. They have a good time. They get carried away. And again, that's what leads to a more engaging training experience. So I try to avoid the F word because I know that, you know, it gives people the ick. But I think, yeah, I've seen even the most senior people working in serious companies just enjoy themselves when they're cutting out a piece of cardboard or standing up and doing a power pose like Barack Obama. It's kind of part of human nature.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. You speak so passionately about it, that I can just imagine it. Tell me, so how do you find your clients? How do they find you? How do you find them? And maybe talk to me a little bit about, because you said this journey is relatively new. So talk to me maybe about the journey of that and where you've ended up on that road.
Yeah, so I think right at the beginning, I didn't have my message honed in at all. Like I said, I was kind of saying, I'm a jack of all trades. I can do training on whatever you like. So that was kind of the first thing that was causing me a lot of, it was getting in my way of finding clients. I was also, I was going to networking events, which was great because I was building a community, but I realized that the people I was meeting at those networking events were not the people I wanted to be working with. So I really want to build relationships with people in HR, in learning and development, in people who are the buyers, who are the people that need training for their teams. And actually, I was meeting a lot of small business owners, and that took me down a kind of path of trying to design training for them, which is great, but it's not the kind of work that was going to help me build my business in its first year or two. So I've done a bit of a pivot since then. I mean, like the conversations that we've had, like I mentioned before, really, really helped me get really focused on, okay, so it's presentation skills training that I'm delivering. I am talking to people that work in HR who want to buy training for their team. So those two things really helped me to get clear on what I was talking about. And now I'm part of one networking group just to build some consistent relationships. And other than that, everything I do is on LinkedIn. And even over the last couple of months, I've been super busy. I've only been posting once a week or so. I'm still practicing getting my messaging right. And I've still had amazing clients contact me. In fact, I think after one of our first sessions where we talked about is it called the byline or the strapline?
Your headline. Yeah.
My headline. I changed my headline, I think, to say presentation skills training, and it had the word creativity in there. And within 4 hours, a man who works at consultancy messaged me to say, can you help me deliver a training program I'm running for a consultancy? And that for some of our consultancy clients. And that led to me running 4 workshops for them in July. And that was, so thank you. Talk about immediate results.
You're welcome. But isn't that so mad? That is how fast it happened for you. It is.
But
you know what, Grace? It's because you had the credibility and the authority as well. So, so yes, you were starting out in your business, but you had the credibility of the 10 years working with international clients, and you had put in so much work. But then the irony was that you weren't actually calling it out. And once you did, then boom, it just lit a fire, didn't it?
It really did. It really did. Yeah. And it's just, I also find it fascinating. Since then, as I said, like over the summer, I was posting once, maybe twice a week. And I had 4 different clients in the space of a month come to me on LinkedIn for presentation skills training, which is amazing. And so now, I'm coming back after a busy period, and I was thinking, okay, how am I going to really efficiently build my business? And because of that result on LinkedIn, like now I'm not going to lots of random networking events. I'm just investing my time in honing my message, having that really clear, scheduling my LinkedIn content, varying it, posting several times a week. But that's my main focus because I've already seen that it works. So to me, it's a no-brainer really.
Oh, so good. So good. Well, I was going to ask you what changes did you make on how you market your business, but it's LinkedIn. But you know what? Maybe the thing about it is that then people are coming towards you. What happened next? Do you know? So
Mhm.
how did you deal with getting on the calls?
And turning them into like actual clients I work with. Yeah, so I think like the journey. So I think of one example of a woman who was organizing. She's running a huge conference for the Chartered Institute of PR. And was looking for a few different trainers. So I had a conversation with her just to really understand, like, you know, what is the ask here? What would you like me to help you with? And I suppose, like, you know, the first port of call is always to really understand what is the challenge that people are facing, what is the need, what's going on in the wider context in the business, so that I can really understand not just what is the training that I design going to help people in the room with, but how is it going to have a broad impact on the business? What are the outcomes that the business needs that this training can play a part in? And with her, it was how to present yourself, but in a networking environment. So, yeah, we had a conversation about what kind of support these people need. And then, yeah, after being able to kind of play some of that back, I put together some outcomes of what a workshop could achieve. And yeah, now we've decided to work together. So I'll join her to run a conference in November. And it's so exciting because it's for about 150 to 200 people who work in PR, representing about 80 companies. So for me, that's such an exciting opportunity to be in a room with 80 companies, like incredible. To work, you know, in a room with that size is also really exciting. So yeah, and that, you know, I would never have known to even look for an opportunity like that. But after the conversation with Amy, the client, it just, yeah, it made sense.
Brilliant. Honestly, congratulations. Do you have any advice then for somebody like honest like what is mad is that I'm saying like at the start of their journey, you're not even finished your first year yet, you know, like
No.
it's
Hmm.
phenomenal the success that you've had. Like
Hmm.
congratulations. And
Thank you.
so do you have any advice for somebody who's starting out as well, you know?
Yeah, I think, God, how long have you got? I've got so much advice to write a bloody book on it, and it's only month 9 or whatever it is. But I think if I think of like the things that have made the biggest difference to me, I would say is kind of the advice that you gave me very early on of thinking about what is the one thing that you can use to tell people what you do. And I remember early on, I really struggled with that concept because you would say, it's presentation skills. And I'd be like, yeah, but I really want to do networking. And what about creativity training and communicate? I can do all of these things. And you were like, no, just choose one. And I have now really seen why, like, it makes I give that advice to someone because I would say it makes your life easier. You know, it makes how you're explaining what you do, how you market yourself, how you introduce yourself in networking events and things. It just makes it so much easier. And really, when you're starting your own business, that is what you need. Like, it's hard enough as it is. So make your life easier in being able to explain what you do, because that in turn is going to make it a lot easier for people to find you and for people to work out if you are going to be able to help them. So that's the one thing, is really get clear on the one thing it is that you do. And like, honestly, I mean, I know this sounds like maybe you've told me to say this, but I honestly would say find a coach. Like, I would still be trying to peddle 17 different skills if I hadn't started working with you. And I think for me, like, having one person, it's so great that you know me and you know my business and we're working together over a number of months, because it means you like it means that I can come to you with questions and you can give advice, and it's just, you know, we're really fluid in the way that we work with each other. And I think when I was first starting out, I felt really overwhelmed because people are desperate to tell you what to do and to give you advice. And it, you know, it comes from a good place. They want to help you. But I would just be like, I don't know who's right and who I should listen to. And yeah, I felt really lost and alone. And so finding the right coach for me has, you know, not only have you helped me to grow my business, but it also just gives me so much like confidence and support knowing I have one person that I can go to for my questions. So, well, that's a massive thank you to you. That would
stop it. I'm going to cry, Grace. Gee,
yeah,
I didn't expect that. Thank you so much. But honestly, like, just watching your business grow, like, just brings me so much joy. Like, every time I get an email from you going like, you know, like, this has happened and that's happened, like, I'm just like, yeah, go on, like, what we're doing is working, smashing it, like, you know. But you're taking the action, you know. You know, it's one thing to go and listen to somebody's advice, but it's a whole other thing to go, okay, now I'm gonna actually listen and implement it, you know. And so, like, going to the Edinburgh Festival, but still having the discipline to, okay, just post once a week, but fine, it was still on point, because it was still a post about Edinburgh, but it was really, it was crafted to reach your client. So you know, I think you may not realize this, but I feel you're a natural marketer. So good for you.
Thank you. Thank God for that.
Oh, stop it. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or how can people reach you? Is LinkedIn your preferred way of people reaching out to you? Under this interview, or wherever I post it, it'll be either above or below. We will put the details, your details, so either to your website, and in fact, not either, but it could be either or, your website and your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm very happy for people to message me on LinkedIn to set up a call. My website has got more it's just got a bit more information about my background that people can go to if they want to find out more. And yeah, I'm running a workshop in October. I don't know if that's worth just mentioning. I can send you the link, but I'm collaborating with a brilliant coach called Fleur. She has over 18 years experience in finance, and she's a money coach. So we have teamed up. We're running a workshop called Nail Your Negotiation, and it is for anybody who, when they think about negotiating for a pay rise or a day off with their boss, they kind of break out in a cold sweat and they put off putting that meeting in the diary. Our workshop is going to talk people through a really practical 4-stage process you can follow to help you prepare for your next negotiation, so that you feel really confident, really informed. You're able to walk into that meeting with your shoulders back, knowing exactly what you want to say. So yeah, that's on the 18th of October. And yeah, I can share the link so people can have a look at that as well.
Brilliant.
If they're interested.
Brilliant. I will share that widely. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today, Grace. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Elaine. It's been great.